Imagine standing alone beneath a sky filled with stars. Everyone around you believes the heavens are perfect, unchanging, and that Earth sits firmly at the center of the universe. But through the glass of your telescope, you see something that shatters everything people thought they knew. Do you speak the truth, even if it could destroy your life? This was the choice that Galileo Galilei faced. Part 1. A Restless Child of Pisa. The year was 1564. In the bustling city of Pisa, Italy, a baby named Galileo Galilei was born to a family of musicians and scholars. His father, Vincenzo, played the lute and questioned old musical theories. From him, Galileo inherited not only a love for rhythm, but also a habit of doubting authority. As a child, Galileo was curious, restless, and often distracted by thoughts far beyond his lessons. One afternoon, as he sat inside the great cathedral of Pisa, something strange caught his attention. A bronze lamp, hanging from the ceiling, swayed gently back and forth. Galileo timed its swings against his own pulse and realized something astonishing. No matter how wide or small the swing, the rhythm stayed the same. He was only a boy, but already his mind was searching for patterns in the universe. Part 2. The student who asked too many questions. Galileo grew into a serious young man, tall and thoughtful, with sharp eyes that seemed always to be measuring, comparing, calculating. His family sent him to the University of Pisa to study medicine, but Galileo's heart was elsewhere. He wanted to understand the laws of nature. He sat in lecture halls, listening as professors repeated the words of Aristotle, that heavier objects fall faster than lighter ones, that the earth rests motionless at the center of the universe. Galileo frowned. Something about these ideas did not match what he saw with his own eyes. Legend says that one day, Galileo climbed the Leaning Tower of Pisa. In front of a crowd of students, he dropped 2 spheres of different weights. To everyone's shock, they struck the ground at the same time. Aristotle's authority cracked in that moment, and Galileo felt a fire ignite in his chest. Part 3. A telescope pointed at the heavens. Years passed. Galileo became a professor in Padua, respected but not yet famous. Then, in 1609, news reached him of a strange device being built in Holland, a tube of glass that could make distant objects appear near. Galileo's hands trembled as he crafted his own version, grinding and polishing lenses until his fingers ached. Finally, on a cool autumn night, he lifted the telescope to his eye. What he saw changed human history. The moon was not smooth and perfect, as Aristotle and the Church had claimed. It was scarred with craters and mountains, like the Earth itself. Jupiter had 4 tiny moons circling it, a miniature solar system that proved not everything revolved around Earth. And the stars? They were not scattered jewels fixed on a heavenly dome, but countless suns stretching into infinite space. Galileo's heart pounded. The universe was far bigger, far stranger than anyone had imagined. He scribbled sketches in his notebook, his candle flickering beside him, as if the light itself was urging him to reveal the truth. Part 4. The first cracks in the old world. At first, people were amazed. Galileo published his findings in a book called The Starry Messenger, and it spread like wildfire. Nobles, scholars, even kings wanted to peer through his telescope. Some were astonished, others were frightened, but not everyone welcomed his discoveries. The Church, which taught that the heavens were perfect and unchanging, grew suspicious. If Galileo was right, then the Earth was not the center of creation. The very order of the universe, the story told for centuries, was under threat. Some professors mocked him, refusing even to look through the telescope. If Aristotle did not see it, it cannot be true, they said. Galileo clenched his fists in frustration. How could men so educated refuse to trust their own eyes? Yet he pressed on, his voice growing louder, his arguments sharper. Each night he returned to his telescope, his faithful companion against the ignorance of the world. But the more he saw, the more dangerous his position became. Part 5. The Weight of Truth. By 1610, Galileo was no longer just a professor. He was a man carrying dangerous knowledge. His telescope had shown him moons circling Jupiter, shadows moving across Venus, and stars beyond counting. Each discovery whispered the same truth. Earth was not the center of the universe. The old order was wrong, but truth can be heavy. As Galileo walked the streets of Florence, whispers followed him. Some called him a genius, others muttered the word heretic. At night, he paced his study, torn between wonder and fear. If I stay silent, I betray the truth. If I speak, I risk everything. Part 6. A Dangerous Ally. For a while, Galileo found hope in an unexpected place, the new Pope, Urban VIII. The Pope admired Galileo's brilliance and even encouraged him to write about the cosmos. Galileo felt a surge of relief. Perhaps the Church too could embrace the truth. But allies can be fragile. In 1632, Galileo published his masterpiece, Dialogue Concerning the Two Chief World Systems. It was written as a conversation between three characters, one defending Aristotle, one supporting Copernicus, and one who appeared foolish. Readers laughed, but the Pope did not. He recognized himself in the character of the fool. The friendship was shattered. The Church turned cold. The whispers grew into accusations. Soon, Galileo was summoned to Rome, not as a guest, but as a prisoner of the Inquisition. Part 7. The Trial. The courtroom was vast and silent. Cardinals in red robes sat like judges of fate. Galileo, now nearly 70, stood trembling but proud. His hair had thinned, his hands shook, but his mind was as sharp as ever. The accusations rang out. He has opposed Holy Scripture. He has misled the faithful. He has dared to say the earth moves around the sun. Galileo bowed his head. He tried to explain. He begged them to look through the telescope, to see the evidence with their own eyes. But the Inquisition was not moved by science. It was moved by power. Finally, they gave him a choice. Recant, deny what you have written, or face torture and death. Galileo closed his eyes. Images flashed in his mind. The moons of Jupiter, the mountains of the moon, the endless stars. His heart cried out for truth, but his body, old, frail, afraid, could not endure the flames. With trembling lips, Galileo whispered his recantation. He denied his own discoveries, the words tasting like ash in his mouth. The courtroom sighed with satisfaction. But as he turned to leave, legend says he muttered under his breath, "And yet it moves." Part 8. The Final Years. Galileo spent the last years of his life under house arrest in a villa outside Florence. The world had silenced him, but it had not broken him. From his window, he gazed at the night sky, his beloved stars still shining above him. Though blind in his later years, he continued to dictate his thoughts to loyal students. In 1638, he he completed his final great work, Two New Sciences, laying the foundations for modern physics. He died in 1642, the same year Isaac Newton was born, as if the torch of discovery had quietly passed from one great mind to the next. Final thoughts. Galileo's story is one of courage and tragedy, brilliance and suffering. He was a man caught between two worlds, the old universe of tradition and the new universe revealed by science. He paid a heavy price for truth, but his vision could not be buried. Today, we remember Galileo not as a heretic, but as the father of modern science. His telescope opened the heavens, his experiments broke the chains of blind authority, and his courage lit a path for future generations. So, the next time you look at the night sky, remember Galileo Galilei. Remember the man who dared to see, dared to speak, and even in the face of silence and fear, whispered to the universe, "It still moves." If you enjoyed this story, please give this video a like, share it with a friend, and subscribe to Daily English Story for more inspiring stories that improve both your English and your life.